The Angels Trilogy, Lifted Up by Angels, by Lurlene McDaniel. Chapter 1. Leah, this makes no sense to me. Why would you want to rent an apartment in a hole-in-the-wall like Napanee, Indiana? Why, when you could be sailing to Fiji on a windjammer with Neil and me for the summer? Not bothering to answer her mother's question, Leah Lewis Hall dragged her suitcase into the bedroom of the sparsely furnished apartment. She was 17, but if she lived to be 100, she still wouldn't be able to explain it to her mother. She tried before they driven from Neil's sprawling, wonderful farmhouse that morning, but her mother didn't get it. How come she couldn't understand that Leah didn't want to tag along with her and Neil, husband number 5 in her mother's life? An entire summer with them would never be her idea of fun, not when she could be near the Longacre family, the kindest people she ever met. Rebecca, Charity, Ethan, especially Ethan. Leah's mother glanced disdainfully around the small room. Good thing Neil had a friend in the real estate business up here, or I would never have let you come. In spite of Neil's being many years older than her mother, Leah liked him. After 6 months of being married to her mother, Leah realized Neil had a better understanding of her than her mother did. When Leah explained to Neil her plan and what it would mean to her, he had helped her get both a place to live and a job working at a bed and breakfast in Napanee. Neil truly seemed to understand when Leah had flatly said to him, "I wanted to make my summer vacation plans. It's been a rough year." The 9 days Leah had to spend in the hospital just before Christmas, while her mother and Neil had been in Japan on their honeymoon, were the toughest of her life. That was when she had been diagnosed with bone cancer. Dr. Thomas does want me in for another checkup at the end of June, Leah said now. They'd misdiagnosed you in the first place, her mother insisted. You could come in to the South Seas with us. You are fine now. The doctor just scared us to death. Leah didn't know what to believe. Her early x-rays and bone scans had clearly indicated that parts of her knee had been eaten away by cancer. Then during her hospital confinement, Gabriella, a mysterious figure, had come into her life. Later x-rays showed that the dark spots had shrunk even before any treatments. This had totally shocked her doctor. "I went through 6 weeks of chemo for nothing then?" Leah asked her mother with a grimace. "Insurance," her mother countered. "Besides, you did fine with chemo." "Not much fun, though." Leah would never forget the bouts of nausea following each drug protocol. "Well, I'm already. Neil understands, so why can't you?" Her mother grabbed a grocery sack full of Leah's shoes and headed to the closet. "Can you cook well enough to even feed yourself?" "I can cook, and I have Grandma's recipe box." Her deceased grandmother was another sore subject between Leah and her mother, so Leah was glad when there was no comment. "I really will be fine, Mom. Stop worrying." "I can believe you'd rather clean toilets than sail to Fiji," her mother grumbled. They'd already visited the small inn where she was to work. It was a 2-story frame house with an old-fashioned parlor, family-style dining room, and 4 quaint bedrooms and bathrooms upstairs. Leah would be responsible for fresh bed linen daily, cleaning chores, and serving breakfast and lunch to guests. Her workday would begin at 7 a.m. and end at 3 every afternoon. She'd be off on the weekends. "You'll be a maid," her mother chewed her bottom lip fretfully. Leah rolled her eyes in exasperation. Her mother tagged behind Leah as she went into the tiny kitchen. "Is your phone working? I sent it in a deposit and told them to turn it on." Leah picked up the receiver and held it out so that they could hear the dial tone. "I'll call and check on you before we drive to the airport tomorrow." Neil and her mother were to fly from Indianapolis to Los Angeles, then to Hawaii, where they would board the sailing vessel that would take them to the South Pacific island of Fiji. "I'll be fine, Mother. Are you positive those Amish people will look after you? Don't you think I should meet them?" "You read Charity's letter. She's glad I'm here for the summer, and no, you don't need to meet them." When Leah had first formed the plan to work in the area for the summer and had written Charity about it, Charity had written back to say it would be nice to see her again. Now that Leah was actually here, she hoped she'd not acted presumptuously. "It just seems so odd to go off and leave you, that's all." Her mother broke into Leah's thoughts. "And I can't believe you're so casual about living alone all summer. Even though the diagnosis was wrong, it still makes me anxious." Leah sorted her mother's mismatched silverware into a drawer. Knowing she was acting more self-assured than she felt. She reminded her mother that it was she who taught her self-reliance and independence in the first place. Mom, I'm going to have a good time this summer, and so are you and Neil. August will be here before we know it. You have the ship-to-shore phone number, her mother reminded Leah, if you have any problems. Don't worry, Leah interrupted. There's still time to change your mind, you know. I'm not changing my mind. Her mother sighed and glanced at her watch. Maybe we'd better buy some milk and things at the grocery store before I go. I can shop for myself, and you better get on the road if you want to be home before dinner. They'd driven up in separate cars, Leah's mother in the car Neil had given her for a wedding gift, and Leah in the sporty red convertible he'd given her after her last chemo session. You deserve it, he had said, handing her the keys. Her mother hugged Leah. I'll miss you. Miss you too, Leah said. Give a hug to Neil. He's a real nice guy, Mom, and don't get seasick. Her mother made a face. Don't even mention such a thing. Leah walked her mother down to her car and waved goodbye when her mother drove away. Then she stood alone in the apartment building and hugged her arms to herself, blinking back tears. No regret, she told herself. This was what she wanted, to be on her own, and now she was. Leah wasted no time going to the grocery store. Instead, she took out the roughly drawn map Charity had sent her and followed it to the Longacre farm. Charity had sent her. The Indiana countryside was flat, the roads straight as an arrow as it passed fields of young corn plants. The late afternoon sun felt warm on her head and shoulders, but although it was late May, the breeze still held an edge of coolness. In less than 15 minutes, she turned off the main highway onto a gravel road marked as the entrance to the farm. Far back on the property, she saw a rambling two-story farmhouse. Of course, no telephone poles, no wires for electricity led up to the house. The Amish kept their own ways and did not want modern conveniences. Leah stopped shy of the well-cared-for lawn. The screen door banged open and Charity, gathering her skirt, darted off the porch. She wore a long, plain brown dress covered with a long white apron. The ties from her purr cap flapped as she ran toward the car. Leah, how pleased I am to see you. Leah scrambled from the car and embraced her friend, a lump of emotion clogging her throat. You look wonderful. Charity stepped on an arm's length away. And you look beautiful. Too thin, I think. Left over from the chemo treatments, but I didn't lose my hair. Leah spun, and her dark hair, now shoulder-length, fluffed in the breeze. You must tell me everything, but first we must go out to the garden, where someone is waiting to see you. Charity led Leah around to the back of the house, where 2 women and 2 girls were tending a large vegetable garden. Leah recognized Charity's mother, Tilly, at once. Upon seeing Leah, the child beside Tilly dropped her hoe and ran, arms outstretched, to meet her. Rebecca, Leah cried, catching the girl in her arms. You've grown so big. She hadn't seen Rebecca since she'd left the hospital room they shared. The 6-year-old beamed a smile at her. One of her front teeth was missing, making her look even cuter than Leah remembered. I thought you'd never get here. I've been waiting all day, Rebecca said. I'm here now, Leah answered with a smile. Charity introduced her sister, 12-year-old Elizabeth, and her grandmother, whom they called Oma. The baby, Nathan, now 8 months old, lay asleep on the nearby blanket. We shall all rest and take some lemonade, Tilly Longacre announced, and you must join us for dinner tonight, Leah. Holding Rebecca's hand, Leah followed the group to a wooden picnic table where chunks of ice sparkled in a pitcher of lemonade. Thank you, I'd like that, Leah said, feeling oddly out of place in her modern clothes. She was what the Amish called English. She was not one of the plain people. She felt her differences keenly. I want you to come to see my chickens, Rebecca said. I can't wait to see them. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen a live chicken up close and personal. Everybody laughed. Because her mother had married Neil and moved to his farm, Leah had lived in Dallas and attended a huge metropolitan high school. After the move, she'd experienced culture shock. Leah can visit your chickens later, Charity said. Right now, I want her to walk with me to the barn. That's where Ethan is, Rebecca declared. He's been looking for you all day, too. Leah saw a sidelong glance pass between Tilly and Oma. She wondered if they approved of her visiting Ethan, but she couldn't help the tingle of excitement that skittered up her spine as she thought of seeing him again. She recalled their bittersweet goodbye the previous December in the hospital lobby. Come with me, Charity said, setting down her glass of lemonade. Leah abandoned her lemonade and followed Charity across a wide field toward a large gray barn. The closer they got, the more nervous Leah grew. What had Ethan been thinking? What if he didn't think she was pretty anymore? What if he decided his girlfriend, Martha Dewberry, was more to his liking because she was Amish?